Morgen-Session mit dem letzten Teil, wo wir schon durch Fragen in detaillierte Aspekte gegangen sind zum Thema Gefühle, Wahrnehmung, Beziehung. Was ist so? Ja. Haben wir jetzt den Nachmittag simultan? Haben wir jetzt den Nachmittag nochmal, um dieses Thema zu vertiefen? Wir haben vorab in dem Anmeldeformular auch eine Frage gestellt, was sind Themen, die euch bewegen? Und zu diesem Thema kamen auch einige, oder zu dieser Frage kamen auch einige Rückmeldungen. Und die haben wir in dem Programm, das sind diese Bullet Points in dem Programm aufgeschrieben. Und die werden jetzt sozusagen heute Nachmittag mit Thema sein. I say it quickly in English after this morning session. I thought you would do similar simultaneous translation into Charlie's ear, but I can repeat it now.
No, the copy is translating in English.
So quickly in English after our beautiful morning session where we also already went into aspects of relationship, perception, feelings, and we would like to go deeper into this today. In the registration form, we asked you what topics are relevant from you, and some of you gave feedback, and these are actually the bullet points which you can see on the program, and it will be part of the afternoon session. Before we start and I explain the procedure, I would also like to mention that we have envelopes hanging here. And more people are coming in. I wait for a moment until we settle again.
Auf diesem Raum sprechen, wenn die verspült wird. Das soll diese nicht reinatmen. Das steht nicht. Das weiß nicht, wie das
Chemical spray.
Oh. Okay.
Das kann man vielleicht nachher erklären.
Bit of rearrangement.
Who else would I turn to when I have a friend like you? No one else would answer me the way you always do. You're where it's all
Dieses Wochenende so kostbar. Okay, also das war jetzt sozusagen zu dem Ist-Stand. Ich wollte kurz mal auf die Envelopes, auf diese Briefumschläge eingehen. Da sind auf der Rückseite Namen drauf. Machen wir einen ab. Steht Hans Werner. Und jeder von uns hat einen Namen hier oder hat einen Briefumschlag hier. Und das war eine Anregung von Charlie, dass wir sozusagen zu unserem Thema Gefühle, Wahrnehmung, Beziehung einfach auch ganz praktisch am Wochenende mal schauen, was wir so anders Neues aneinander wahrnehmen. Und was immer uns auffällt aus der Brille, Bewusstsein, können wir auf den Zettel schreiben und in den Umschlag tun. Also es ist sozusagen eine transformative und explorative Übung für unser gemeinsames Wochenende. Das ist anonym und geheim. Die Juwelen oder die Besonderheiten, die ihr wahrnimmt. Would you like to add something to that?
Am I on? Yes. Yeah, we just thought that there's an envelope for everyone. My mic is on, but I'm not sure the sound is there's an envelope for everybody. And I think as you see a quality in somebody, can you hear? Hello. I just came into sound. I was beyond somewhere. Sorry. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that when we're in the gathering and you see something special in another person, you can write that specialty and put a little thing in the envelope. You don't have to sign your name. It's no, it's just incognito. What you learn from somebody, what you appreciate about somebody, what you value about somebody, what their specialty is. So over the next 2 days until Monday, you can, whenever you have time, you can just write. We might need a few more
Yes.
little bits of paper.
We have the papers here and we'll continue to cut.
There's little squares of paper, or you can make your own thing, or you can put in flowers in there, or you can post anything you like. You can put chocolate in, yes.
It breaks down.
Whatever you feel, but it's a really lovely thing just to show your appreciation for the divine family. So it looks like a washing line, doesn't it?
It's
Yeah.
transformative, so it's washing.
Yeah. So
Okay. Zum Ablauf. Wir haben 3 Interviews geplant. Das erste wird die Nettie oder Annette machen. Das zweite der Hans. Und das dritte wird so ein bisschen wie heute Vormittag sein, so ein natürlicher Flow in ein Gespräch, wo alle sich einbringen können. Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So the procedure is that we will have 3 interviews. The first one will be done by Nettie, the second one by Hans, and the third one will be like a little bit like this morning and more interactive conversation where everyone can bring in questions. The 2 have prepared some questions, but you can also start also if a question emerged, just write it on a piece of paper already. We will have, after each of the interviews, we will have some moments of silence for you to allow it to sink in and to reflect upon it yourself. And then you have another 5 minutes to share with the partner next to you about what thoughts come, what realizations, what further ideas come, and then we go into the next part, the next interview. That's the idea. And yeah, so I think we can start now.
do you need a microphone, Nettie?
We need 1 microphone in the front, please.
I tell the question in English and someone is finding out translating. Oh, Shanti, I hope, Hans, we haven't prepared the same questions. Shani, in morning time, you were talking about accepting others. And it came to my mind that before I can accept someone, I need to know about him. And the idea, it's easy to start a talk with someone, but it's not so easy to really have a deeper conversation and to meet the other one in this talk. And how to clear my own inner space, or to prepare my own inner space, that I am really able to meet the other one. And yeah, that it's really something coming together.
Mm. I think a great gift is to listen authentically to another person. And that really means that, how sometimes when someone's speaking, you're thinking about what you're going to say back to them. So really, I feel one of the most powerful forms of love and respect is to try and listen in a non-judgmental and open way. And I think that builds a real rapport. I think people will really understand. In Sydney about 6 months ago, someone came to speak to me, and they spoke for maybe 1 hour. I hardly said a word. And at the end, she said, "Thank you so much. You've helped me so much." I did not say a word, But, I think it's like, that's a form of acceptance in a sense when we do that. But I know Mama used to talk about a very interesting thing that, the chit, which is the memory track, which is a fascinating part of our spiritual anatomy. And the chit has all the memories of my interaction. Let's say every time I've met you, Nettie, I have all the memories of our meeting. And, if they're good, they're good. If they're not so good, as soon as you come in front of the person, a lot of that material comes in your mind. And it's like you look at that person through that not so clean filter. So they don't get that really clean feeling from me, that sense to really have an open conversation. And Mama often used to say to clean the memory track, because often the memories of the past are like a filter that you're looking at that person through, so that I suppose the hearts can't come so close. It's a lot of work in a way, really, to clear the story of the past of another person. And yet I think, how with some people, you talk to them, you feel very relaxed, you feel very open, you feel you can share because you feel you're not judged. Whereas other people, maybe you feel you're being judged, and so you're a little bit wary. I think everything in communication is subtle. And so I think the more we keep an open mind, a non-judgmental mind, don't carry so much what happened last year, have the courage to sort of, or the respect to feel this person may have changed, so I can, give them the benefit of the doubt in a sense.
And in case this is someone you do not know already, so you don't have an old agenda.
Yeah.
But this opening up to someone, you must have the experience to meet people you don't have seen before.
Yeah.
And to overcome this resistance of perhaps of the other one, but it's your feeling, you say, the way you address to them.
I think 90% of relationship is feelings. And in a way, if your feelings are non-judgmental, your feelings are open, your feelings are loving, it's almost like you create an atmosphere that's safe. They feel safe to be open with you, to connect with you. And it's subtle, but because if they feel you're remembering things from the past or what they've said or done, they won't be so open, And I think that, I think that's something. I'm just wondering whether we should sit a bit closer, so I
suggested to
it might be easier so that we don't have to keep turning. Yeah.
Connecting so that you spoke about openness,
Mm.
and sometimes you have something on your heart, some emotions, and you want to be open and you want to be authentic, and but then there is this border to not to hurt someone, even you want to express yourself, but perhaps there are also emotions that need to be spoken, but then there is the danger that the other one might get hurt.
Mm.
And how you deal with this?
You know, I feel that it's the same answer, really, that it's your vibrations. Let's say that you have a sensitive conversation you have to have. You know how we all have to have sometimes sensitive conversations with people. And you have to say something like it's a criticism. And I think it's really the vibration behind the words, because if you know someone loves you, someone really values you, and so you will listen to them because their vibrations are open, you'll accept the criticism. But if someone else says the same criticism, they talk about your fault, but they've got a little bit of anger, they've got a little bit of negativity, you'll take it in a completely different way. And this is why I think that it's the intent, it's the subtle intent. There's even a slight bit of anger or negativity or dislike. It will never, ever be successful. But if there's love, like you have to say something, you have to express your heart. And we all know in Brahman life, sometimes there's things that don't go well. And we have to have difficult conversations. The conversation isn't the issue, it's the vibrations behind the conversation. Because I found if there's just that little bit of anger, a little bit of I'm right and you're wrong, you know, that will never be successful. You know, someone in Australia was telling me that he's not a BK, but he was saying that he had a falling out with a friend and the friend wouldn't answer his phone. And he tried to ring him, and you know, on mobile phones now you can see the name, so he would never pick it up. And so he said to a mutual friend, I want to speak to him, and still he wouldn't speak. And he thought, why? And because he said, he was saying to his friend, I really want to let go, let's forgive, let's move on. But when he really checked himself deeply and honestly, he said, still, I was saying to my friend, let's be friends again. But inside he was feeling, I was right and you were wrong. That is such a subtle thing. It's like a barrier people pick up. And these subtle things don't allow the hearts to meet once again. You know that little bit of ego. Oh yeah, let's get on, let's be friends again, let's get over. But inside I'm still feeling I was right and you were wrong. They're very subtle. I think everything in relationship is subtle, and why Baba just emphasizes good wishes, pure feelings, good wishes, pure feelings, because it clears the vibrations in the air.
So first to clear your inner space before you speak something.
I think so. And you know, for me these days, I feel, unless I'm in that right space, I prefer not to say something. Because, you know, we all know, don't we, that if you say something to someone, there's a little bit of damage, how long does it take to change it? It can be a long, long time. Or you impulsively say something, you get a little bit angry, and just that one act for a minute, a few seconds can affect a relationship for years sometimes. Now, you can say the other party shouldn't be so sensitive, but on the other hand, you know, the law of karma is about intent. What's the vibe, the intent behind the vibrations? When the intent is pure, is clean, is loving, 90% it will be successful. But if the intent is colored by ego, anger, these sort of subtle feelings, it won't be so successful. Jealousy, that's it. That's a huge thing, jealousy, actually. You know, you don't mind me going on, do you? You know, a few years ago, I don't know whether some of you remember, but Daddy Janky, she was talking to a group of double foreigners and she said that jealousy is the seed of all obstacles. And I must admit, when she said that, I thought, oh, really, Daddy, the seed of all obstacles? But you know, I began to think about, I think so much of our differences are based on jealousy, actually. And jealousy is an emotion experienced in anticipation of losing something I value. So let's say I have a friendship with somebody, I'm close to them, and a third party comes and threatens that relationship. Jealousy kicks in. Or I have a role, we know in the Brahmin family, one, we're a family, then we are an organization, and where we wear a hat as a responsibility. I've seen sometimes, if I'm open, two people, the best friends, one of them starts to play a role in the yajna and the relationship changes because that little bit of jealousy, I think it's something we don't recognize in ourselves. And I feel a huge amount of conflict is based on jealousy. Yeah. So it's,
There's a saying or the idea to step out of my own world and to see things through the eyes of the other one. What is your experience with this?
you know, I think it's a brilliant thing because, you know, a few years ago, I went to a retreat in the south of Israel. Amazing retreat center right on the border of Jordan. And the man who owns it is very close to the BKs, and he built it. It's completely in the desert, and he's built it so beautifully. And he has about 200 young people come, and half the Jews and half the Palestinians. Wow. Young people, and they come together. And what they do is they live in each other's shoes. They almost replace each other's roles and start to understand what each one is going through. And it's incredibly effective. And I think even in the Brahmin family, sometimes, you know, we are able to, I suppose, try and empathize with each other. You know, I've learned that sometimes people's behavior is a bit awkward, a bit strange, but sometimes there's reasons for that. They're going through something spiritually. And you know how someone is not having such a great day? I'm sure no one here ever has much like that. And so maybe they say something a little bit short or sharp. And I think if we have that mercy, you know, everyone is on a journey of self-transformation, a journey of learning about ourselves. And I think to offer mercy to others is such a great gift, actually. It's a real gift to allow the other person to, you know, sometimes make a mistake and not punish them for it, so to speak. You may not say anything, but you can punish people through your vibrations. I think you know what I mean. Or we sort of avoid somebody or disapprove. You know, disapproval, if you have mental disapproval, you might not say a word, but from your mind, people feel it so strongly. And that's why to me, Daddy Prakashmani was the most amazing leader. How? She held the yajna in her attitude. Her benevolent attitude was the power, in my view, that drove the yajna. She just had benevolent feelings for absolutely everyone. It's so powerful when an instrument soul really has benevolent feelings. And we, some of you know, we have one sister in Australia who runs a retreat center, Sally. Some of you know Sally. She's a remarkable person. It's almost not possible for her to be negative. It's just not in her DNA. It's incredible. And she's actually quite old now, so she's moving to Melbourne because the retreat centre is much easier to live. And last weekend before I came, we had a farewell for her. And 120 people came. They're having another one tomorrow morning. But really, what people said, and I really saw that when you're benevolent, it's so uplifting for people around. And she doesn't say much. She just gives people love and respect and support. But you become such a powerful instrument when you do that. That's and Dadiji was like that, wasn't she? Yeah. And you know, when she left the body, I was in Madhavan at that time. And I don't know whether any of you were there, but we sat in Daddy's meeting room in Shantivan and telling stories. It was so moving. And little Mohini came. And little Mohini said, I've shared a room with her for I don't know how many years, 30 years. I never heard her speak badly of anybody. Just think of that. It's so powerful, actually. We can't underestimate how that shifts a whole atmosphere. When we all have weaknesses, but when we sort of have a benevolent feeling towards each other, it shifts a vibration. And I think people feel safer. And then it definitely creates a more cooperative atmosphere. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Letty.
Thank you. So my questions are finished. So we have a little sharing.
A moment of silence and the sharing. Maybe pose the question.
Let's just have 5 minutes, 3 minutes meditation. And let's just reflect on the power of my attitude and how my attitude influences the whole atmosphere around me. And then maybe in a few minutes, maybe we'll just talk in pairs with someone sitting beside you, just share what you're feeling. So thank you, everyone. And maybe if everyone turns to the person on their right. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work, yeah.
Of course. Just talk to someone beside you. Talk in pairs, yeah.
So.
Yeah, sure.
I'm really inspired by the idea of really giving love to everyone. So experiment with that, especially if you have a negative attitude towards you, or angry or jealous or whatever. Experiment and see how much love works in this person.
What, darling?
Yeah.
Did I?
You know, I remember about 10 years ago, Daddy Jenke was in Australia and she met Dr. Nimler and I. Daddy Jenke was there. And we were just sharing with her a few issues. And, you know, everything she just said, just give them love, just give them love. And I've noticed in the last 10 years that it's sort of, you know, when we all started, it was very strict, you remember? The Yagya was quite strict about principles.
Dizzy.
But I think it's
So I'm
a
going to
different
go up
sort
and
of
lie down,
community
whether
now.
it is because
And I
on that
think
chair there, stretching
there's a
my
lot
neck,
more
whether I've done something in my neck, I've
easiness,
no
you know,
idea.
just give that love.
But
That
the
otherwise people get so easily hurt or damaged, or you know, even if the intent sometimes is to
is
help
that
somebody,
Kate?
they take it in the wrong way. And I found that
Hmm?
even Daddy Jenke herself, when I started, wow, because I was in London, I know she would be so strong with you. Didi Nirmala was the same too. They were so tough, but they've all mellowed out completely.
But I have to say, Daddy, I always felt love, no matter how direct or
Yeah, so did I.
I always felt love.
Yeah,
That's
likewise.
What we do. We don't have that level of love.
Yeah,
That-
yeah. Because you know, she may say something, but the feelings for the soul are always good. So you don't feel it so strongly. It's when the feelings of are negative or you know, those bad, that's when it really hurts. That's what I feel. It's the vibrations which are the real key. Yeah.
My understand more where the soul is coming from.
Yeah.
Meaning for that soul.
Yeah.
Something like this, what I can't explain. Then to know what I'm interested in, but be very open and lie about it, and show my interest.
Exactly.
Having a certain image. I know who he is. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want to find out.
Yeah.
Something that's part of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's actually a method called idiolectic or easy talk, with which we have experimented with a good friend of the BKs in Berlin is trained in it. And it's a method where you ask very simple, like childish questions which child would ask. And they are open questions. And they're so pure in a way and simple, but without putting my special twist, but they open up.
Yeah.
And you've done that in Berlin City for a while. And it's amazing if someone is being asked a kind of question, you kind of offer a safe space, a pure space, unconditional space, and the person can start to share. And the other part of that, the method is you are listening or observing the words and also facial expression. And wherever there's anything, you ask another question. That
Yeah.
like the way I got to know this method was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like flowers starting to bloom.
Yeah.
This kind of space. It's wonderful.
It's like, I think, it's like emotional intelligence to sort of tune into someone and ask a question that really sort of, and they feel connection. Yeah, I think, I often, when people come to centers, I always ask them, just normal questions. How are you? What's going on in your life?
But it's the interesting.
Yeah. People say, yeah. And if we've all had the experience, someone asks you a question, then they're looking at their phone. Yeah. Oh, and you just don't feel valued in any way. It's funny how, it's a subtle form of disrespect in a way, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone seems to enjoy having
Once you start, it's hard to stop.
it's very nice. Langshan, the music stuff on my phone.
Maybe when we have the meditation. So shall we, Carolyn? What is? Oh, wow. No, well done. So will you announce the next interview?
Thank you. It seems everyone had a lively and nice conversation, and it's even difficult to move to the next. Very nice. So now we have on the second interview, and I would suggest once you exchange your secrets netting, so you can put next to
So how much does it take?
15 minutes.
Yeah, you mentioned Sally. And I haven't thought about her for years, but this morning she came in my mind, and I actually wanted to ask you how she is. I don't have to ask, it just comes out. So it was just the start. One thing you mentioned this morning was we have to educate our feelings. Maybe I got this expression right. Oder in Deutsch stehen, oder ich weiß
Nee,
nicht.
in English is good. Yeah.
And so how do you do that? I mean, how do you educate your feelings if you don't have them? Or if,
First you have to look for them. Where are you?
Well, as far as I know, everyone has feelings. unless you're a robot or something like that. But what I was really meaning was that, you know, we come into Gyan and we all develop faith in the knowledge. We know it and we teach it. But how deep has it really come in me? Because it's almost like I can tell you, you are a peaceful soul. But do I feel a peaceful soul? And I think that's what I meant, to educate my feelings so that I don't just know I'm a peaceful soul, teach, I am a peaceful soul. I've done the work to sort of educate my feelings. To me, it's years. Just like I was saying, I remember thinking that I love the knowledge of drama. It's so brilliant. And sometimes something had happened, I'd be chanting, oh, it's drama, and yet you're feeling really nervous, or your heart's going boom, 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 oh, it's drama. Because you know it, but really that work to, in a sense, educate or bring Gyan out of just your intellect into your feelings. And that's where I think knowledge changes the intellect, and that can do it instantly. It changes my perception. But yoga begins to transform my feelings, and that's a long-term project, so that I really educate my feelings so that, you know, what I know and what I feel are sort of like, in a sense, I suppose that's really what the aim of the life is, that I'm feeling what I know. I just don't know what I know.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think that's, at least this was, I was watching many Brahmins who left or who are a little bit aside, or who gave up, or, you know, I mean, more have given up than they are still here. Now, 30 years. And I think the crucial thing was, the knowledge was understood quickly, as you said, but they were never able to create this kind of happiness or in their life, or peace, or love they have never felt, and that sort of let them give up. And some told me it doesn't work. I tried so hard for decades, and it just nothing changed in my feelings.
Yeah.
So I feel for many that was the biggest challenge, actually. That step from a knowledge, even deeply know it, I'm absolutely convinced, and still I don't get these feelings.
You know, I don't know whether I was, I keep muting myself. I don't know whether I was mentioning in this group, but in 1985, somewhere I was mentioning that Baba gave the realization course, asked us to do the realization course. And what he said was to the foreigners, you know the knowledge, you believe the knowledge, you teach the knowledge, but you don't experience the knowledge. That touched me so profoundly, deeply. And the next thing Baba said, each point of knowledge has an associated experience. Now, our education, our culture is once you know something, that's it, I know it. Yep, I know that, I know. But actually, spiritually, that's the first step of thousands of steps of unpacking. You know I'm a peaceful soul. It's a lifetime study, isn't it? And sometimes I think spiritual education, the education out there, you know so much information. We all know so much information about everything. But spiritual education is taking one idea. Who am I? I am a soul going deeper, deeper, deeper. It's like this laboratory. You make your mind a laboratory. And I really believe what Hans says is true, that if we don't learn how to experience, then, you know, I think we feel a bit dry after a while, because I think our religious sanskaras are just to know the stuff and not practice the stuff. And, you know, once I stayed with Jagdish Pai, and I said to him, what's the most important thing for a person like me? And he said straight away, new experiences. Create a Brahman life where you just don't go along believing, having faith, but you create new experiences. And once when we were doing the walk past with Baba, you know how we used to walk past and get drishti from Baba? Ken was in front of me and Baba stopped Ken. And Baba said, I want to talk to you and a few others. And so we stood in front of Baba, and Baba said to us all, create new experiences in yoga. And I feel often as long-term BKs, that doesn't happen. So it's more, we're sustained by faith, but we need new experiences. And I remember once Baba gave a formula for new experiences, something like, become a point, apply a point, and remember a point. So something like that. Become the seed, the soul, put a full stop, and remember God. And really, I've often tried to really be creative in my head about creating a new feeling, creating a new experience, exploration. Otherwise, I find we're so creative in our Lokik lives sometimes, artistically, musically, so many things. But when it comes to my mind, we are so boring. We just sort of think the same thoughts, and then we wonder why I'm feeling flat or empty or unfulfilled, because they're our religious sanskaras. Our religious sanskara says, oh, you have faith, that's it. I'm a BK, I have faith, that's it. But that's the beginning, I think, of the journey. Yeah, that's true.
So when you say, you go take one point, go deeper and deeper and deeper, how you do this practically? What do you mean with deeper and deeper?
Yeah, like I think I was sharing this morning, I just realized that after 10 years in Gyan, I just felt my whole soul conscious practice was a bit superficial. And you know, when you think of the reality of who I am, and I've been thinking about this recently because someone told me recently that biologists are saying that this human form has about 40 trillion cells, not billion, trillion cells. There's so many, it's unimaginable. Just think, I, the soul, am more subtle than one cell. It just starts to get your head around, who am I? What I am as a soul. And I've done experiments about being eternal. And I did it over months because once Daddy Janki said the essence of soul consciousness is the experience, not the belief, the experience of being eternal. And I honestly felt that the more I would practice, just go through a day feeling eternal and asking the question, how does it feel? Not chant it like a mantra. And I really felt it broke down my fears. You know, so much fear is of loss, losing something that you attach to. And as you really taste the reality, I always exist, like you really move into that space of experimenting with the feeling. I think that's the sort of the work that's sort of in the laboratory of the mind around those sorts of things. I like to do those. And what I love to do is one effort. Because I think often we spread ourselves too thin. We do this 10 things and we don't see the result of anything. And do something over months. You know, even once I realized how lack of self-respect affects every tiny part of my spiritual life. And so I really worked on that over a long, long period of time too. So you sort of really try to explore. I write sometimes, I practice sometimes, I observe myself. So it's like an ongoing study, self-study.
Okay, so it's like really working with the knowledge and looking at it from the inside.
Yeah.
And trying out to, you know, sort of get a different perspective. What is actually, is there a difference between perspective and attitude?
You know, I often think there's 3 steps in a sense: awareness, attitude, atmosphere. So you meditate, you create awareness in your mind. Your attitude pushes that in and creates an atmosphere. So my attitude is like the externalized form of your stage, but your perception is the reality you create in your life, in a sense. And I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it? Perception is so different from person to person, but perception is really how I see things. And if I'm really, body conscious, I have a whole perception of reality that's so different from, everyone's perception of reality is so different.
Yeah, but again, in this area, you mentioned these 5 feelings which made you feel hatred. It was like enthusiasm. These things we know, feeling of belonging and feeling of not belonging, especially. Very quickly, we not belonging, that kind of thing. But you also said, this one was soul conscious feeling. And that is the other feelings I would know, like soul conscious feeling, I have no idea what that is, because we feel body conscious for a long time. We have no idea how soul conscious feels, I think. And so how does soul conscious feel?
For me, soul consciousness feels incredibly light, totally uninfluenced, naturally detached, benevolent. It's a stage that can't be influenced. It's like something you've created in yourself that is not under the influence of external things, whether it's people or situations or opinions. It's like, in one way, you could say it's the ultimate state of self-respect. Even once, I remember Baba said, another way of saying soul consciousness is that you live constantly in a sense of self-value. You don't give your self-value away to situations and people and environments. And what can we say? It's just this incredibly deep sense of internal calm, because you're connected to your true and authentic self. You're living from that true and authentic place. You're not pretending to be something, playing a role, being Charlie, It's just a temporary part, isn't it? It's a temporary part.
This morning you said, we asked us and everybody agreed that we are all very sensitive. What is sensitivity? Is it an emotion or forgiveness, or what is it?
It's ego.
Ego.
It's ego. Definitely ego. Sensitivity is ego. And, I often feel that there's sometimes talking to non-BKs to give a perception of the soul. I often express that there's 3 personalities inside. There's the eye of arrogance. Even Baba once talked about this. The second is the eye of disheartenment, the eye of lack of self-respect. And the third is the original eye. And in a way, even for Brahmins, it's like a power struggle internally. A power struggle between my ego of inferiority, which is the powerful one actually, my ego of lack of self-respect, and my original self. And now I've forgotten the question.
What sensitivity?
Oh, so I would say when ego is ruling, I would say, how do I know I'm under the influence of ego? I feel so easily insulted, disrespected, not valued, excluded, sensitive. And I remember once Baba said, if you don't have ego, you won't feel insult. Only my ego accepts insult. Some people say, I was so insulted, but Baba would say that, yes, people are rude and that, but if I accept it, it's the ego self, not the soul conscious self, that's really accepting this disrespect. And that's what's happening in the world today. There's so much ego that people are just feel so insulted by each other in a way. Yeah.
And so, and what is emotions? Because it seems like I had a thought, maybe emotion is like a concentrated some karmic accounts. It's like melted together and then becomes an emotion. You have done things many times.
Yeah.
You did say this.
Yeah, I think something similar in a way. You know, I think one of the most fascinating parts of our spiritual anatomy is the memory track. We're sitting here in the present. It's the 9th of July in 2022, but each one sitting in this room has a memory track that stores experience. And often what's stored on your memory track is an emotion, like an incredible happiness or an incredible sorrow. And you know, what happens is that you come in front of a situation, something similar, and your intellect goes back to your memory track for a reference point, how to respond. And sometimes it just triggers an emotion and it just floods. So let's say that as a child, I was rejected. You know, I'm my family or someone really rejected me. And so that emotion is stored like a little package in my memory track. And someone just comes in front of me in the workplace, completely different. Just says, oh, I don't agree with that. Just something simple. And it's like they've hit me on the head. And I feel absolutely devastated. And I completely overreact. I feel it's real, but actually my emotion is deceiving me at that time. It's, you know, because I'm under the influence of what's stored in my memory track. It's real for me, but I've been deceived by my own past.
So how can you approach such like inner burdens? You can't, according to my experience, not just approach it by intellect. You don't get there.
No.
So how to eliminate that kind of emotions, sorrows, which are from the past, maybe not even from this birth, maybe from who knows?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that, you know, the way I see, you know, the soul becoming pure is that actually the whole part is in the memory track, right? From the first second of the golden age to the last second of the iron age. So what does it mean to become pure? When my intellect has so much truth and experience, my intellect is less influenced by it, because the part of the iron age is always going to be there. It's never going to go. So it's not that we purify it by cleaning it out. It's just that it has less power over me when I have truth. I have God's love, a relationship with God. And it's almost like I feed off my original sanskaras rather than feeding off the set of sanskaras now. And so in a sense, when the intellect is really powerful, those really strong emotions or trauma have less and less. It's not that they go instantly, they have less power over an intellect under the influence of God rather than an intellect under the influence of my ego. And that's why it takes time, in a sense. So it's almost like the intellect isn't influenced by that set of sanskaras anymore. And it's almost like those sanskaras merge back into the memory track to re-emerge in the next cycle. Because Baba himself says the whole part is in the soul. That means the part of sorrow remains there, but in the golden age it's dormant. And even in the confluence age, if I'm really Jnani Yogi, it almost becomes dormant too. It doesn't affect me anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 15 minutes are over. So thank you for sharing.
questions? You have a. Kannst du mir geben? Okay. So again, we have a moment of reflection.
Maybe for just this few minutes to really reflect, how far have I gone on the journey of becoming soul conscious? How far have I traveled on this journey to become truly soul conscious? So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Maybe let's just share for a few minutes once again. And if you can find someone different, if it means moving a few chairs, if possible, just find someone different to share with. Yeah, sure. Shanti. So what's your name? Javan. Lovely. How long have you been a BK, Javan?
I was 14 when I met
when I become Christian for the first time.
You are,
But like for one,
41.
for one, like I am 25 now.
Oh, 14, you mean, 14.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Here in Germany?
No, in Syria.
Oh, in Syria with Ayman.
Yeah.
I know Ayman
They give me
well.
the,
Wow.
but I become the knowledge to Rima.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Rima, she gave me Christian for the first time, and then it was like there's gold soul, and we started to speak about it. It was like this is Baba,
Wow.
and I knew that.
Oh. When did you move to Germany? Oh, wow. And which city do you live in?
It's Dresden.
Dresden. Oh, okay. Of course. You told me. Did you come with your family? Oh, wow. Wow. So your family is still in Syria?
Hmm.
Yeah. And do they know what you're doing with the BKs?
I'm with PKs now and I'm making music, study that, like lots of stuff together.
Oh, you're a musician, are you? Oh, nice. Pardon? Singer.
Oh, yeah, opera.
Oh, wow. What do you sing? What sort of style?
Classic music. Classic and like 7 different art, music, oriental, and classic, Indian.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So there's some like one question making a circle in my head. The circle of life or the role we play is just a role, and if I want to be my ordinary state, it's about just letting everything go. It's literally letting the world die in my head, accepting everything and going in another state. It's just forget that I am not this soul, I am the soul.
That's right.
Home.
Yeah. Absolutely, because when the soul forgets itself, it thinks it's a part, a role, a story. A story is what I call, people have their whole story in their head. Oh, I grew up in Syria and then I had to leave the war. I grew up in Australia and this happened. That's not who I am. That's my story. That's my story. But everyone identifies with their story or their part or their role. But Baba says, no, you're an eternal soul. You're beyond all those things.
It's not me, it's just the role.
Yeah.
I take.
Yeah.
But if I want to be with Baba, to be his soul, I just forgetting I am as a body and remembering I am a point of life.
Yeah.
I am nothing else than a point.
Yeah.
No judgment, no plus or minus, or good or bad. It's just being.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right.
Sense of knowledge.
It is. And when you're a soul, really, it's just a drama. It's a game, actually. Everyone's wearing their actors wearing their parts. Some actors, I'm so good and I'm so powerful and you're right, wrong, and I'm right. But they're just playing their parts. But they don't know they're playing their parts. It's a wonder, really. Only really Brahmins have the privilege to know that it's just a game, it's a drama,
Yeah.
and to know exactly who God is. It's incredible, really, when you really put your head into it. It's amazing.
Yeah. The point I was not sure long time, like 1.5 years, I was not trusting myself because of the knowledge everybody was pushing me down. No, this is wrong. And I was like,
Your
"That's why,"
family or something.
like every single human being I meet, it's always something. Someone
Sorry.
telling me there's something wrong, Nate, this is wrong. For example, to be in the States, it's not right. You are Jawad and you have to go with this role to be. I was
Yeah.
just like, no, this is the
Yeah.
body. I'm a soul. And the
Yeah.
body, it's just, but I'm not this. And yeah, this is why I was not trusting myself and I was pushing myself down. And yesterday was what you said, was opening a door again to my like my past. I knew who I am, but I tried to forget because I was not trusting that.
Yeah.
But now I ask you, you have a lot of knowledge. This was beautiful. I'll give you a big stuff. And if I ask you now, I can be sure because I heard for the second time from you, from Sister Chandra.
Sister
Chandra.
Shada.
Chandra. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
This
good.
might make more trust, make more reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every soul have feeling, but this is our reality. If we say, I don't feel, we start not to feel. Like somebody needs question. He was like, I don't know what his feeling is. In the moment where he speak, he give feeling because
Yeah.
he feel and
It's just that some people suppress or deny their feelings. I think a lot of people have negative feelings. They don't like them, so they deny them to themselves. They pretend, but they're having them. Everyone has thoughts and everyone has feelings. Every single human soul.
that was good.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Did you-
So we'll work out the next.
We think for the evening, we should maybe tell them beforehand. I think it's good to let them know that we would like to use this evening also as a visioning for our retreat space.
Yeah, I think though, what I was thinking tonight, maybe I just show the video, share a little bit, and then let them ask questions so they can think about it for a few days. And then maybe the session on Monday morning, we can just have a bit of an open, like this sort of, maybe we give a few questions, like reflective questions they write. And then maybe if someone has oh, thank you. Do I see Shiv Baba on your finger?
It's all-
The big tattoo?
yeah.
So
Reflective questions.
yeah, and then in small groups. And then maybe have a whiteboard or flip chart and write down,
That's on Monday.
yeah, new ideas. In other words, rather than everyone saying the same thing, go around, keep saying to people, what's different? What new things do you have? And it's like getting a feeling from the family.
Would you also could you consider that we post the questions now and people can already write on the flip chart during
Yeah.
2 days? Because some like Hans and only has to leave, I think,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Sunday evening or Monday
Yeah.
morning.
yeah,
So they can also, there could be an ongoing, we have some moderation cards written with this board there, and they can, is that okay?
so, so we'll just have open questions for the next half hour.
Yes.
And then, and oh, yes, that's what I was going to say. Are we going, dinner is
6:15.
6:15 to 7. Then it says meditation to 7:30. Should we start the thing at 7:30?
Yes.
I think it's good,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and will someone set it up? I sent you that. Did you send it to somebody, the video?
Yes, I have it with me. I will put it on the computer.
Okay,
It's great that someone was able to cut it.
yeah. You know who did it?
No,
Shivani.
no.
Yeah.
Myself?
Actually, no, she got one of her people in Awakening because I went to her center and they wanted to see something. So I gave her the one of, it's half an hour. And so she said, is it okay to edit it down? And I couldn't find it, so I wrote to her and she sent it to me. Yeah,
Nice, very good.
yeah.
I would like to go into the topic of paranoia a little bit more.
Yeah.
And in two ways. I mean, one. Paranoia. Okay. Before we close this session, we will have another reflection and sharing. Or shall we not do this in the end?
I don't think so. Let's just have meditation, I think. Is that all right?
Yes, and just give an idea of the evening session in brief that we will talk about.
Yeah.
next week.
And remind people to
And,
start putting things in the envelopes.
Start 7:30 after the meditation.
Yeah.
Will you say something? It worked well with this.
Oh, yeah.
मम्मी से भी लेट होता है पता नहीं मम्मी से भी क्या हमारे भी तो नेट ऐसे हो
Always.
मेरे पास तो दिख रहा था कुछ भी नहीं चला ना मैंने कुछ चला
Maybe the battery.
हेलो
This turned it off.
हाँ ठीक ठाक सब है बस सब बढ़िया
It's always a bit, it's like a difficult, not a thing or a bad thing to interrupt conversations which seem to be very lively and meaningful. So forgive me for that, but we would like to move on to the last part of this conversation and interview, and we don't have an interviewer for the last. But collective interview or collective sharing of ideas and questions. And we will go on for about 20-25 minutes.
So would someone like to ask something or make a comment? And perhaps if someone who hasn't had a chance to ask something yet, who would like to, or say something, please feel free. Otherwise, anybody who would like to ask a question, yes.
We spoke in the morning about the brother who was sister, young sister. What? We spoke about that, we spoke about sister Ross, and in that context, we spoke about the brother who lost his young sister.
Yeah.
I guess it spoke about Roger Cole.
Yes, yeah.
And then we just got the shift. I know we had a catharsis or something at that point when we were sister Ross. But the shift we made, that you said it was not really the grief about losing sister, but it was much deeper. I would like to understand more about of grief of losing someone or something how to deal with it.
Thank you. You know, I think Roger, I think a lot of you know Roger, and he went to one of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's workshops. And it's all about grief, and she feels most of us suppress a lot of grief inside. And So Roger, during this thing, he all this grief came out of him because he had a little sister die of cot death, which, yes, you know, I don't know in German, but as a little baby, just a few months old, his little sister. And he said he'd never really grieved, but all this grief came out. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came over to him and he told all his story, and she listened very patiently. And then she said, actually, all that does is trigger a deeper grief in the soul, that at some point you've known perfect love, perfect belonging. And she would say a relationship with God. And so whenever you lose a partner, a friendship, if there's a conflict or something, it opens this wound that exists in all of us, I think, this sort of deep wound or deep sadness, this deep grief that somewhere I've known Baba and somehow I forgot Baba, I left Baba. And I think it's so true, actually. I really do believe that we do have a grief. I think people just search so hard to find a love in their life, but we have no idea it can be God, so we try to do it with human beings. And that other human being is body conscious like me, so I never really attain what I'm looking for. And that's another grief in a sense. I mean, some people have reasonable relationships, but yeah, so that's Roger's story. Well, actually, Roger had a stroke about a year ago. And he's fine, he's still working, but he's just slightly affected. He's still doing talks and service and things like that, but he had a slight stroke. It's like everyone's got something these days. Yeah.
Just just a while ago, as I'm also very much researching into the reasons why certain feelings come up in my consciousness, I came around this topic of trauma, being traumatized, and suddenly, you know, really looking at the cycle of life. I mean, we are these golden ages souls who experience divinity in reality, the physical realm, you know, the physical reality, and we lost it, you know, and we lost it in such a way that it seemed to be unreachable again, you know, like really totally gone. And so suddenly it came to me, we are all traumatized. And it somehow triggered such a mercy in myself and a mercy for our general state, you know, because of course I was always wondering, you know, why certain behavior is happening amongst us, very unkind behavior. But when I saw the reality of we all are being traumatized, we lost paradise, you know, and it was wow, it was really like opening my heart and emerging an amazing mercy that has never been there before.
Thank you, Monica. That was lovely. Thank you. Anybody else have? Yes.
So, my question is in the situation.
Yeah, so sometimes situations trigger certain hard feelings. And I want to really know that what can I do at that very moment
when I realize this is something not good, you know, anger or even stress or even feeling can be really complex. So what can I do at that very moment when I realize the feeling?
Mm. You know, I think Baba's way is that, you know, rather than react at the moment, the more you practice, it's like it has less capacity to come, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, we all know the power of anger. Anger is such an incredibly powerful thing. But the more you are really practicing living as a peaceful soul, there's less chance that that seed will be ignited. It will. I mean, it takes years really to deal with anger. That's one thing. But the second thing I think is to understand the seed of it. Because I often think anger is the end point. What's fed the anger is usually hurt, grief, you know, these sorts of things. And, you know, when people sort of have, I sometimes think of anger like a volcano. Have you ever seen a live volcano? Once I was in Costa Rica, and it was amazing. You know, I looked down in the volcano and it was all boiling and frothing, and it was looked so angry. And then finally, what happens for years and years? We feel rejected, unloved, hurt, criticized. It's going like this inside, you know, every so often it will explode. So often anger is the end point of it. And that's when I think the more I go deep and try to really, you know, really there's nothing like the relationship with Baba. It's a balm to, I think as Monica was saying, in a sense, it's sort of a balm to heal such a lot of stuff that I've collected over a long time. That's why in this life we have to be patient. We're old souls. We've had 63 births of body conscious habits. 60, that's a long time. And that's where I think the main thing is to keep going. Because what happens is sometimes I find you go along happily and you reach like a spiritual midlife crisis. Who's had a spiritual midlife crisis? Well, half the room here. And what that really means is that I feel when we first come to Baba, our bhakti sanskaras just kick in and we suppress all the rubbish. So we look like a Brahmin on the surface, but and it's not wrong, it's just that's our immediate response. So, and then after 10 years of practicing doing this, rubbish comes out. And I think, my God, I've practiced this for 10 years, followed Srimat, listened to the Moli. And sometimes, and Baba said yesterday, it even appears stronger than it was before. And you think, oh, this is not working. I think I'll give it up. But actually, it's all a part of the journey. It's a part of the healing process because we do suppress and it's going to, in fact, we have so many responses to deep sanskaras. We suppress, we deny to ourselves. I think we are experts at self-denial. We're experts. We just don't want to see, negative things in ourselves, so we just deny it to myself. You know, once I was, as a student, I was working in a kitchen, you know, and one day, one of the chefs got all the pots and pans and he threw them all over the thing. He was so angry and we were all ducking. And I went up to him, he cooled off, and I went up to him about 10 minutes later. I said, are you okay? He said, what do you mean, am I okay? I said, you looked a bit upset. No, I'm fine, nothing. He'd completely wiped it from his head. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, and then I actually talked to a psychologist, and it's a known thing that you just sometimes delete behaviors because you don't want to face it or accept that maybe. So sometimes we suppress, sometimes we deny. even as Brahmins, I think sometimes we avoid situations that trigger our old stuff, or we avoid people that trigger feelings, and we feel, oh, my stage is good, but actually I'm avoiding the things that challenge me. And there's so many things, because the seeds of the vices, they're incredibly deep. And I really feel that the service of Brahmins is to change our sanskars. I really feel people will come to spread the message. That will happen. Influential people that society has respect for, they will come and they will start to say things. Our Baba needs a certain amount of souls to really have a quality of purity in their sanskars. That's really our part. And sometimes I feel the first level of change is my habits. Habits are just of this life. That's not that difficult. A lot of us change our diet, change our lifestyle. The second is my soft sanskaras, the sanskaras that I've collected over the last few lifetimes. Intolerance, impatience, seeing defects. And with effort, we change them. And I think, yeah, this is not so bad. This is easy. And then after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, just an eruption of rubbish. And the soul thinks, I've been a Brahmin for so long, and yet it's like I'm going backwards. But it's not. It's actually a part of the journey. And I feel when we reach that level, we have a mature understanding of this life, that actually this life, we have to manage the process of self-transformation, because every so often there'll be an eruption of a particular sanskara, sometimes something that you've never had in this life. I remember Sister Genti actually saying she'd been a Brahmin for 6 years, and all this anger came in her in the form of irritation. She just felt irritated, and she said, I'd never felt that my whole life. So if I don't understand the process of change, I get confused. This shouldn't be happening, but it does. It is a part of the process of self-transformation. And, I think with some of these, the more you really practice, I feel, and the intellect has the power of truth and the link with Baba, the sanskars have less power, but they don't go away straight away. And I really believe you'd have to make a plan to transform a sanskar. Because I think a lot of Brahmins, in our lives, we're very organized, very planned. But when it comes to self-transformation, we think, just listen to the Murli, meditate a bit. And one day I've woken up, and all my sanskars have flown out the window and I've become an angel. I don't think it happens like that. We just hope. We hope but actually we have to really plan self-transformation. Yeah, honestly, my feeling is no matter what, never, ever give up. Because there'll be times when you feel it's all too much.
You spoke about a plan. I like that. I mean, I'm one of the hopeful ones that just do my Veda and connect to Baba as often as possible. And connection, I feel it's very easy when anything happens, even the awareness that inside us something is coming I feel a gift, because there was a period there was no awareness even. So when there's a switch, immediately I come Baba, because I tap into Baba to get neutral and get impact, to get positive again and stay calm. So I keep tapping into Baba every time I feel Baba. So it's easy to reach out for Baba. It's like the line, so it's to connect. But maybe there's not, I don't know if that's a plan. But I know a plan, so I would like to hear of a plan.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I did at one point was I just realized that a lack of self-respect affects everything. And so what I did was I made a plan, which I did over a long period of time to improve my self-respect. And what, in that sense, I observed scenes in life. Some scenes make you feel not so good about yourself. Sometimes a personality, a situation, you slightly fail at something or don't feel so good, or you're criticized. Rather than just bowing down and let the samskara take you over and you feel bad and you feel unworthy or you feel inferior, to apply Baba's truth at that point. So let's say there's an authoritarian personality that you find when you're around them, you feel a bit uncomfortable or inferior. To see them as a soul, just playing their part. And you may only be slightly successful at first, a few percent, but you keep practicing 5%, 10%, 12%. What's happening is you're slowly chipping away at a habitual pattern. You're reprogramming your responses to things. And I think we really need a plan, because all of us have one or two sanskaras that they've been with us since a child. I find a lot of Brahmins change habits, a lot change soft sanskaras, but some very deep sanskaras are with us from childhood even. And what happens is I'm fine for a year even. Then suddenly something happens, it flares up and I feel very uncomfortable. You know, it could be a fear, it can be anger, it can be lust, it can be anything, and it just flares up and disturbs me. And then I lose my self-respect and things and feel unworthy and not good enough, all these sorts of feelings. And I really feel if we have a plan, I even kept a little diary and observed myself. And it's not that when you change, it's just like, you know, it's just this, it's almost like, I think, you do a research project on yourself, a research project on a particular sanskara, learn about it, find Baba's truth to apply. And when you have that love and yoga connection with Baba, you have a power not to submit to that sanskara and have a different behavior or different response. And I think, you know, especially with lack of self-respect, insecurity, fear is a huge one. Most souls have so many fears, you know. Yeah, fear is directly connected to my karmic story. Karmic story, yeah.
Yeah, what I realized 4 years ago, connected with feelings, was that verbal speech is a very good instrument for revealing what is my intellect. So merely knowledge is always connected with words. And 4 years ago, I realized that my mind is not working with words. So I make the effort to develop what is the language of my mind. And for this, I used creative instruments. Yeah? I work with pictures, I work with colors, and yeah, to make it visible, to make feelings visible. It sounds a bit strange, but it is possible. Or to use methods from psychology or whatever. So it was really helpful for me yeah, to really say what is the language of the mind, and it's not with words, and the intellect very easily suppresses the mind because the intellect knows words. So this was very helpful for me.
Thank you.
Actually, not very much time anymore, but if you would like to comment on this briefly.
Comment on I'm quite happy to. I think she was sharing an experience, which
Yes.
was very good. Yeah, wonderful.
In 5 moments, I'm tempted to ask the question, but it's anyone else has a very last question?
Whether you what is the midlife crisis? Sometimes I found the level of everyday practice, yoga only, and sometimes you found myself I stuck in the one level. You cannot go above that level. Sometimes go down and go up. And living in both lucky and unlucky world, uh, the situations and the feelings are changed. When I worked, that time the feelings are different, and the subtle things like lust or something else, we cannot found that time. But after the meditation, you found I have this feeling and I want to change, but only one level. After that, you cannot go above that level. I want to go above that level. How should we? It's not like only daily routine. Do the meditation only, and after that again go in that life again. It's like routine.
Yeah, I think as we've been mentioning that many times we follow Brahman life in a very religious way. So, I used to go to the temple or the church, and so we go to the center and listen to the Murli. We do make a bit of effort, but it's about really going deeper. And I personally feel that when we get a bit stuck in meditation, it's very simple. It's a lack of soul consciousness. God is eternally soul conscious, eternally. If I want to be close, to communicate, to feel his love, I've got to move up onto the same vibration. And that's why soul consciousness is lifelong learning. It's a lifelong study to really live in this world as a soul detached from my body. And if I don't have deep soul consciousness, I can believe in Baba, but I can't really connect to Baba. And that's often what we do. We sit in meditation just believing in Baba, rather than really having a real, living, loving relationship. There's a difference to just thinking about Baba and connecting to Baba. The thing is never to feel hopeless in any way, because we all go through every phase. But I think it just, to me, it indicates just, what's Baba's Maha Mantra? Consider yourself a soul and remember me alone. Because if you don't do the first bit, the second bit doesn't really work. And that's the deep, deep work of this life, is to experience myself as an eternal, immortal, non-physical being, separate from the body. The more I do that, you go higher. You can go further.
It's amazing how the time flies. This vision is 2 hours already gone. And I feel we're just starting. It's a bit, maybe we can reduce the sound a bit because it's very sensitive. Thank you. We have dinner now. And then we have meditation in this room. We will rearrange the chairs and you can have turn the chair towards the stage again. Then we on the program, I think it says 8 o'clock the evening session starts, but because we have dinner beforehand, the evening session starts right after meditation at 7:30 And tonight we will talk about retreat places. Charlie will share a little bit about the Australian retreat places, and he also has a video which he will show us. And we will have some reflection about our retreat place here. And yeah, that's the evening program. I also supposed to remind on the envelopes, please think and observe and perceive and write down what you perceive. So there will be an exercise when you come back to the end of the retreat.
Do we know all the names, Gabu? I think not.
Yeah, well, if you don't know the names, you just ask someone about the name, and you will find the name on the envelope. And we finish with this short meditation, and maybe to just take from the last 2 hours whatever touched you and whatever related to you.
Just to test how soul conscious everyone is.